الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. Dear respected brothers, sisters, and elders in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, I would like to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for gathering us all here today. Secondly, I want to thank all of you for taking out time from your busy schedule to attend this function. And finally, I want to thank my parents and my teachers who made it possible for me to memorize the Holy Quran. I'm not very good at talking in front of people, but I was requested by Sheikh Hadi to give a small talk on what my experience was like with memorizing the Quran. Memorizing the Quran isn't a very easy task. It takes a lot of hard work and effort, but alhamdulillah, with the help of Allah, I was able to finish it. In fact, the only reason why I'm standing here today is because of Allah, and I am glad that He gave my parents the idea of making me a Hafiz. I would have to say, this is the greatest decision my parents have ever made for me. So my story starts long back in the middle of 2004. I remember this perfectly when my family and I were eating dinner and my dad out of nowhere says, "Amir, you are going to go far away from us." So me and my mom, we looked at him in shock, but then I thought he was just joking around like he usually is. But he proceeded to say, "I want to send you to an Islamic boarding school in Buffalo, New York. Are you willing to go?" After my dad asked me that, I was literally about to choke on my food. And meanwhile, while I'm sitting there in shock, my sister was sitting right next to me laughing and joking around, saying, "Ha, Dad's gonna send you far away from us." So as you can see, my sister tried to be funny, but she wasn't very supportive to me. However, aside from that, I didn't ignore the question that my father asked me. I thought about it for a while, and then a couple days later, I finally told him that I think we should at least go visit the school before I make any decisions. So after that, my dad somehow fixed a date so we can go visit the school and see how it is over there. And when we got there, mashallah, the masjid there was so beautiful from the inside. And the people there were really nice as well. They showed us around and gave us a mini tour, and that was when I realized that this was the right place for me. Everything seemed so calm and nice, and it was just a very good environment. So by the end of 2004, I was admitted into the school as a student and started my studies of becoming a future Hafiz of Quran. I spent about a total of 3 years in Buffalo. The first 2 years were really difficult for me. I did not memorize a lot within those years, but then I picked up the pace in my 3rd year. The first 2 years combined, I did only 4 safaras or 4 juz. But then in my last year in Buffalo, I ended up doing 5 safaras. A good thing about me is I am the type of person who likes to meet new people. So making new friends wasn't a hard task. And after I made those friends, everything went perfectly for me in the school. They assisted me with memorizing the Quran and helped me with anything else I needed help with. But I still think the greatest part about Buffalo was that my parents weren't there to stop me from doing stuff. So I felt like I could do anything I wanted over there. But then slowly, as time went on, I started to miss my parents. I never cried, but I always had a weird feeling inside of me. It felt as if a huge piece of my heart was missing, and that huge piece was my mother. Suddenly, I began to miss her, my dad, and my sister more and more. Everything in my life started to seem dead without them, so I decided that I had to do something about it. I missed my family so much that I decided to fake a really bad asthma attack. I faked it to the extent that it seemed like I couldn't breathe at all anymore, and I was just about to die or something. I forced myself to throw up many times within a day, and I just kept coughing and coughing, and sneezing. And finally, after the teachers tried everything, they said I needed to go back to Delaware and get treated by my family doctor here, since they couldn't find any way to cure me. I went through all that trouble and all that hardship just because I miss my mom and my dad and my sister so much. So meanwhile, after spending some time back home in Delaware, I met Sheikh Hadi. The first time I stood behind him in prayer, I thought to myself, MashaAllah, the way he recites Quran is so amazing. And while in the prayer, I felt like I wanted to listen to him more and more. Then finally, after listening to his recitation a couple more times, I finally got a chance to talk to him face to face. And that was when I realized what a great person he was. He is so humble and polite, and he shows very good character when he's talking to people. And one thing what I also loved about him is that he is young, and our masjid never had a good young imam before. Me and my parents liked him so much that we thought he would make a good teacher for me. My mom really missed me, so she wanted me to leave the boarding school and come back home. So finally, we decided that at the end of the 2007 school year, I was going to drop out of Buffalo and come back here and continue my Quran with Sheikh Hadi, as well as going full-time high school. I only knew 9 sabaras or 9 juz when I started with him, so I thought it would be nearly impossible for me to finish. But then, it was earlier this year, around February or March, when I thought to myself, I need to hurry up and finish. I've been on this Quran for 4 years now, and I'm still not done. All these thoughts started coming to my head. So then I decided that I should devote more time into memorizing and less time into worldly affairs. I love sports a lot, but I gave it up and I didn't play it anymore. Just so I can finally achieve my goal of being a Hafiz. And from earlier this year till August, within that short time span of just 6 months, I finished a total of 15 safaras or 15 juz. And finally, on August 12, 2009, I finished the Quran after all that hard work and effort. That day was the greatest day of my life. It felt like I was on top of the world because I knew I had achieved something great. My heart felt so pure and clean, and I was full of happiness on that day. That day was even greater for me because I was congratulated by so many people. It was just an amazing feeling for me. Meanwhile, at the same time, my phone was getting calls after calls and text messages after text messages, all saying congratulations on finishing the Quran. Most of the people that congratulated me are here today, so once again, I want to thank you. But aside from that, subhanAllah, look at the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I finished the Quran, and then the very next day, I left America to go to Umrah. Just imagine, being chosen by Allah to be a Hafiz of Quran by itself is such a great blessing. But then on top of that, Allah gave me the opportunity to go visit the holy city and to go see the Kaaba and the Prophet's grave. So as you can see, if you please Allah, then surely Allah will please you in this world and inshallah in the hereafter. So now I want to move to a different topic. This is very important for all the elders and the youngsters, so please pay attention. Alhamdulillah, we have many children in this community, and we have many children in the whole Muslim Ummah. Some are getting into the older ages, such as high school or leading into college, while some are still very young. For 1 second, I want every parent here to think to themselves, what if my son or my daughter was a Hafiz of Quran? Just imagine how happy and proud you would feel to have a Hafiz in your house. Many parents complain about their son or daughter being bad, and that they never listen to them and never do anything based on Islamic matters. Well, if you don't teach them at a young age, then who will? It's your responsibility to make sure your children are on the right path. Teach them everything from a young age about what's right and what's wrong. Teach them how to pray and how to be a good Muslim. Teach them who are the good friends and who are the bad ones. All these things are very important, and they should be taught to them while they are still young. I am not saying that every single one of you need to make your son or daughter a Hafiz, but I am saying you need to teach them how to be a good Muslim and put them in a position that they can get a free ticket into Jannah without having any problems on the Day of Judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed our masjid with such a nice imam. I still think he is the best imam this masjid has ever had. And the amount of knowledge that he has is incredible. So make use of this knowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided us with. Send your children to learn Quran with Shaykh Hadi. Send them into the path of Allah. Also, inshallah, we have a full-time Islamic school opening right there. So send your children there. They will get worldly knowledge and they will get Islamic knowledge from there. All these things are very important because on the Day of Judgment, what are you going to say when Allah asks you, what did you teach your children about Islam? It was very difficult for me. I had to go all the way to Buffalo to start memorizing and learning about Islam. But alhamdulillah, Allah made it very easy for you. You don't have to send your children far away. And at the same time, your children wanting to make up an excuse to come home, like how I had to. So brothers and sisters, please bring your children into the right path, the path that Allah wants all the Muslims to be in. Because these children here today are our future. And if they don't know how to be a good Muslim, then who will in the later days? And if they don't have the knowledge of Islam, there will be nobody to spread the deen of Allah in the future. So finally, to conclude, I am very happy that my parents provided me with the chance to memorize the Quran. Without my dad's help, I would have never reached this level. It's because of my parents' sacrifices that I am standing here in front of you. So I want all the parents to think about how you can make your children look better in the eyes of Allah. And I want all the youth to think about this as well. Do you have enough knowledge of Islam to enter paradise? If you don't, then please learn more about Islam. Start doing your daily 5 prayers and become a better Muslim. So to finish it off, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of us here today. May He bless this gathering and may He bless the whole Muslim Ummah. May He bless my parents and my teacher, Shaykh Abdul Hadi. May He bless me and inshallah keep the Quran in my heart forever. And finally, may He make all of us better Muslims and grant us all Jannah. Ameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.